Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Box Score. Today we're diving into an NBA slate that has already started off with some shocking results, which is why you're going to want to pay close attention. The Wizards completely dismantled the Hawks, and honestly, no one saw that coming. Then you had the Sixers, who were supposed to have Paul George available, but he ended up being out. The Magic capitalized and delivered a blowout. I'm still unsure how the Lakers game unfolded because I'm filming before it happened, but the trend has been surprising and chaotic. That said, these results actually sparked some ideas on my end. After those big blowouts, someone suggested I should focus more on unders, and I have to admit, that's a strategy I want to explore more. Eventually, I'll put together a video dedicated to finding unders specifically, which could be really valuable for bettors. But for now, let's break down this slate in detail. As always, I'm analyzing the NBA slate purely from a data-driven perspective. We're going to go game by game, highlighting players with strong matchups, key props, and team trends. Starting with the Pistons versus Celtics, the Pistons are 3.5-point favorites. Neither team has any significant new injuries. Detroit won their first matchup in Boston by 6 points, which already sets the tone for a competitive game. Both teams rank in the top 5 for toughest matchups defensively, especially in terms of points allowed. From a prop perspective, Jalen Duren has a strong opportunity here. He's been on fire lately, and his points plus rebounds prop looks solid. Boston struggles versus the center position, giving up the 12th most points and 10th most rebounds. Duren has hit his points plus rebounds in 8 of the last 11 games, and earlier this year, he had a massive 24 points and 18 rebounds against Boston. If you prefer a higher hit rate with slightly less risk, focusing just on his points line is smart. He's hit 9 of his last 11 games. For a first quarter prop, Ausar Thompson over 2.5 points is enticing. He averages around 7 minutes in the first quarter and has hit this prop all but twice this season, scoring 4 points in the first quarter against Boston in their last matchup. A caveat: first quarter props are volatile, so if you're sensitive to short bursts of action, approach with caution. Boston allows the 11th most points to players in his position, which adds confidence to this prop. Boston players, on the other hand, face a tough Pistons defense, so I don't see any standout opportunities on their side. Overall, my lean here is a Pistons road win in Boston. Next up, the Knicks versus Hornets. The Knicks are 6.5-point favorites but will be without Og Anunoby and Landry Shamet. The Hornets are mostly healthy, with Brandon Miller returning and making a big impact. The Hornets have won only 1 of their last 10 games, but they've covered the spread in 4 of those 10, while the Knicks have only covered once in the last 6. Kong Kanipal stands out for the Hornets. The Knicks give up the 3rd most three-pointers, which plays directly into Kanipal's strengths. His first quarter prop and full game points prop are both high hit opportunities. He's scored 23 points per game over the last 10, and Brandon Miller's return hasn't affected his minutes or volume. LaMelo Ball's restrictions also help him maintain that output. For the Knicks, Karl Anthony Towns is a strong target. The Hornets give up the 4th most assists to opposing teams, and Towns has consistently hit his assist line, averaging 6 potential assists and nearly 4 actual assists over the last 10 games. He's hit this in 10 of the last 12 contests, giving a solid betting angle. Both teams are inconsistent, but the Hornets' young talent and home court advantage make them an attractive spread play. My lean here is taking the Hornets on the spread at home, while the Knicks' higher talent ceiling could keep it close. Next is Bucks versus Heat. The Heat are 7.5-point favorites, and this matchup is tricky given the uncertainty around Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is listed as questionable. He's been out for a while, and this affects all player props, particularly those involving scoring, rebounds, and assists for the Bucks. His potential return shifts usage across the roster, which makes early betting props difficult to predict. For the Heat, Tyler Herro returned in the last game and scored 24 points extremely efficiently. Players returning from injury often see a spike in shooting efficiency in their debut games, and Herro was no exception. However, the Heat have multiple questionable players: James Jr., Nikola Jokic, Drew Smith, and Andrew Wiggins, with Norman Powell probable. Norman Powell didn't play during Herro's debut, which affected his usage, so his scoring and minutes will shift depending on who suits up. If the full lineup plays, including Giannis, James, Wiggins, Powell, Herro, and Bam Adebayo, predicting specific props becomes difficult because the volume will be spread across many players. That said, assuming all questionable players play, the Heat's home advantage and recent return of Herro give them a slight edge. The lean here is Heat at home, but for props, the uncertainty makes individual bets more volatile. This is a game to monitor as injury updates come in. Any scratch could create immediate betting value, especially on points and rebounds for Powell or Herro if volume shifts. Now move to Pacers vs Raptors. The Raptors are 9.5-point favorites. The Pacers have no new injuries, while the Raptors are still missing R.J. Barrett, who was out in their last game against Cleveland, which they won. The Raptors previously beat the Pacers 18 points in November, highlighting the mismatch, and they've been strong overall, losing just one of their last 10 games. The Pacers have only won one of their last 10, which sets up a significant talent and momentum gap. For player props, Sandro is one to watch for first-quarter points. He's been on fire recently, hitting his first-quarter line in 10 straight games. Sandro comes off the bench but immediately impacts the game, and the Pacers give up the 5th most points overall, giving him an exploitable matchup. Similarly, Andrew Nembhard has hit his first-quarter points in 7 straight games, scoring 11 points the last time he faced the Raptors in the opening frame. Both of these props provide high hit rate opportunities early in games, which is valuable for those who focus on first-quarter betting. With R.J. Barrett out, Brandon Ingram saw an uptick in usage. In his last game, he took 30 shots and attempted 11 three-pointers, making 5. Interestingly, his three-point line didn't adjust despite the volume increase, making it an appealing prop. The Pacers give up the 6th most threes to opponents, so Ingram has an excellent matchup for his outside shooting. For team leans, the Raptors are playing excellent basketball at home and have superior depth and talent. Even without Barrett, the Raptors' offensive balance allows them to spread the ball among their stars, but the absence of a primary scorer opens up opportunities for other players to take over. Overall, my lean is Raptors at home, while the props to monitor are Sandro and Nembhard for first-quarter points, and Ingram for both points and three-pointers, depending on how the game flows. Next is Timberwolves vs Thunder. The Thunder are 8.5-point favorites, and this game presents a tricky matchup because of the uncertainty around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is questionable due to an illness. The Timberwolves are fully healthy, which makes this an interesting clash in terms of rotations and scoring potential. At one point, this game looked like it could decide the lead in their group, but Shai's uncertain availability now clouds the outlook. If Shai suits up, he's a dominant scoring option. He has only failed to hit 30 points in 3 games this season, and assuming a relatively competitive matchup, he's likely to clear that threshold again. Historically, Shai has also performed well against the Timberwolves. Last season he hit 30-plus points in 7 out of 9 games versus them, including key playoff matchups. That consistency makes him a prime candidate for a high-volume points prop. On the Timberwolves side, props are harder to identify because of the Thunder's solid defense. However, if Shai sits, the Timberwolves' chances improve dramatically. They have the potential to push overs across points, especially if the game stays close or turns into a back-and-forth contest. There's also blowout potential if Shai plays and the Thunder dominate, which bettors need to be aware of. Overall, my lean is Thunder, assuming Shai plays and logs his usual minutes and scoring output. If he doesn't play, the Timberwolves gain leverage as potential underdog props and overs. This game is a classic example of how a single player's status can dramatically swing betting outcomes and prop viability. Now shift to next game: Grizzlies vs Pelicans. The Grizzlies are 2.5-point favorites, but they'll be missing John Morant, and Zach Edey is questionable. Jaren Jackson Jr. is active and should play. For the Pelicans, Jordan P. and Herb Jones are out, while Zion Williamson is expected to play. Zion is the most reliable option here for props. He consistently plays around 30 minutes per game, providing predictability for scoring or points over props. He's hit 20-plus points in 6 of 8 games this season, with his only misses coming against the Nuggets. Earlier this year, he scored 27 points against the Grizzlies, which is a strong indicator that he can perform against this defense. Zion's combination of volume and efficiency makes him a solid parlay piece or individual prop target. Another standout prop is Saddiq Bey for rebounds. With Herb Jones out in recent games, Bey has reached double-digit rebounds twice in his last 2 opportunities, 11 and 13 rebounds, showing clear consistency. The Grizzlies give up the 8th most rebounds in the league, making Bey's double-double at plus 700 an attractive option for risk-tolerant bettors. The Pelicans as a team can perform well whenever Zion is on the court, which makes them appealing as home underdogs. The Grizzlies' defense is solid but not impossible to exploit, and with key injuries on both sides, there's upside for prop targets like Zion and Bey. My lean here is to take the Pelicans at home while keeping Zion and Bey as the primary prop plays. Next up, the Rockets vs Warriors. The Warriors are 1.5-point favorites, but this matchup has a lot of intrigue given the defensive strength on both sides. Both teams play strong defense, so unders are a key angle to watch. The Warriors will be without Kevin Durant for personal reasons and Steven Adams, while Jonathan Kuminga is also out. Draymond Green is probable, which could slightly stabilize the Warriors' frontcourt, but the absences create opportunities for the Rockets to compete more effectively. From a player prop perspective, Steph Curry under on assists jumps out. Curry has averaged 8 potential assists per game this season but has only gone over his assist line 4 times. Considering the Rockets are one of the toughest teams in the league to pass against, ranking 3rd in limiting assists, this prop has clear upside on the under. In primetime matchups like this, Curry tends to focus on scoring over distributing the ball, especially when the Rockets are defensively aggressive. Looking at the overall team dynamics, the Rockets played well in their previous matchup without Durant, especially against a Suns team that is not elite defensively. This suggests the Rockets can keep pace offensively and make the game competitive. However, if the Warriors get down by a double-digit margin late, they may not have the firepower to mount a full comeback without Durant's scoring presence. Pace will likely be slow, which aligns with the under angle for total points and assists. For betting leans, this looks like a slugfest where defensive intensity will keep the scoring relatively low. The Rockets have the personnel and defensive schemes to compete with the Warriors in a low-possession game, making them attractive as road underdogs. Meanwhile, keep an eye on Curry's assist prop, as it's likely to stay under given the combination of slow pace, Rockets' defensive pressure, and Curry's scoring focus. In short, the lean here is Rockets on the road, expecting a competitive, lower-scoring game, with Curry under on assists as a standout prop. The matchup is a classic example of how injuries and defensive matchups can create value in prop betting, and it's the kind of game where looking at pace and player tendencies is crucial. Next, the Spurs vs Blazers. The Blazers are 1.5-point favorites in what shapes up to be a close matchup. The Spurs are dealing with the absence of Wemby and Stephon Castle, which limits some of their depth and scoring options, while the Blazers are without Drew Holiday, and Shaedon Sharpe is questionable. This opens up interesting opportunities for certain players to step into more prominent roles. On the Blazers' side, Jeremy Grant is one to watch. He recently exploded for 35 points, showing he can take over games when given the chance. That scoring output makes him an appealing prop candidate, especially if Shaedon Sharpe does not play and the Blazers need offensive production early. Rookie Caleb Love has also flashed the ability to contribute in bursts. Over his last few outings, he's posted 13 points, 8 points, and 26 points. That 8-point game came in a blowout situation, where he didn't see much playing time, but the 26-point performance shows his ceiling when he's involved in the rotation. For first quarter props, Love and Grant could both see minutes sufficient to hit scoring targets, especially in a game likely to be competitive and low-paced. On the Spurs side, De'Aaron Fox and Kel Johnson have been consistent contributors in recent games, and with Wemby and Castle out, they are logging heavier minutes and can generate fantasy or prop value. Defensively, the Blazers are solid at home, which makes the Spurs scoring somewhat limited, but home court advantage may be the difference in a close contest. Overall, for the lean here, I'm siding with the Blazers at home, expecting them to narrowly win, while the props for Grant and Love remain strong options depending on rotation and minutes. Moving on to the Suns vs Kings, the Suns are 4.5-point favorites. The Suns are missing Grayson Allen and Jalen Green, while the Kings are without Bonus, and Dennis Schroeder is questionable. This situation creates volatility in volume distribution. If Schroeder sits, Russell Westbrook could see a massive uptick in rebounds, assists, and points, making him a potential triple-double candidate. Meanwhile, Bonus, when available, functions as a distributor and rebounder, so his absence would further increase Westbrook's usage. The Suns are coming off a bad loss to the Rockets, but they had been solid prior to that, so there's a bit of inconsistency here to consider. The Kings, on the other hand, have started to find their footing recently, winning their last 2 games against the Timberwolves and Nuggets. These wins suggest the Kings are adjusting and improving chemistry with Keegan Murray returning, even with Sabonis out. From a betting perspective, the Kings at home as underdogs are appealing, especially in a game where the Suns are missing key contributors and the Kings are trending upward. For props, Westbrook is the standout. If Schroeder doesn't play, expect him to take on a central role in points, assists, and rebounds. This aligns with historical trends in the Kings lineup. When other primary playmakers are out, Westbrook absorbs volume. On the Suns side, missing players like Allen and Green shifts opportunities to remaining starters, but overall, the game projects to be competitive and could potentially stay close, which is worth noting for spread and total considerations. Given the dynamics and recent form, my lean is on the Kings at home as underdogs, while Westbrook props remain the most reliable targets for bettors. This concludes today's NBA slate breakdown. Thanks for watching Beyond the Box Score. Stay sharp, bet smart, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, so I'll catch you on the next one.